You can see this is a brick and stick home. This tornado so devastating, it was able to literally topple the wall. There was a fireplace, a chimney that rose here out of the house. It's completely gone. You hear the cliche, people picking up the pieces of their life. This is literally what people are going to have to do here. So keeping us a good distance back from that fire, but I want to show you this real quickly, give you an idea. This is the kind of apartment building they were dealing with. Brick and wood structure on the outside, several overhanging decks. So when the firemen came up on this scene tonight, they didn't know how many people were still in the apartment complex. The fire was moving fast, so firemen really had their work cut out. And this is a big reason why it's so important. If you go to Duke, this is what you got to do to get tickets. Camp out for a couple of months. They even hand out a safety manual, a Cliff Notes version of what to do to stay healthy here. 2 months out in the cold to get tickets for this game, because you know what? It really doesn't matter what happened in the past. Everyone around this rivalry knows the only game that matters, tonight's game. We've been getting some accumulation here, enough to really pack and make a little bit of a snowball, but it's only a dusting on the ground. The roadways, as you can see, this is US 501, pretty much just wet right now, but the temperatures are cold. The wind continues to blow, so you're going to want to be careful going into work today or getting out taking the kids to school. To give you an idea of how powerful these winds can be when they reach over 100 miles an hour, look here, this is a tree, about a 30-foot tall tree that was literally uprooted here. You can see digging a hole, pulling out the roots that's probably 5 feet deep. You can see the wind's just so powerful enough to bring this tree down. It's not the only one. We have 2 more over here.
Stacey, Cameron, you've been out here all day long. You talked to neighbors who lived through this firsthand.
Kelsey, the neighbors I spoke with say they were woken up this morning to the sound of rumbling, their homes shaking. When they looked out their doors and their windows, they saw power flashes of a fast approaching tornado knocking over power lines. Those people fortunately took shelter in their homes, but after the storm passed and they came back out, they quickly learned that a family tragically lost more than just their home and their possessions.
National Weather Service is supposed to be on their way.
Standing in the backyard of a home she's lived in for 23 years.
But I was blessed. It wasn't nothing but the grace of God that have caused me to be here today.
Mayola Best says she's counting her blessings because early this morning, less than a half mile down the road from her home, a deadly tornado touched down.
You can go on. You can get another house. You can get another car. But those people that lost their lives, there's nothing else.
And there's little left to the home that once sat next door to Best's. Here in the debris is where Danny Hill helped find the body of 11-year-old Joshua Wiggins.
I saw it. I looked at my front door when I saw it. I saw
one of 2 people killed in the storm.
That little boy, he just as sweet as could be. And the family's always been good to me. I just don't know what to say, man. On the inside, I'm still a little tore up from it.
In all, 3 homes were severely damaged here on London Church Road in Elm City. Looking at the damage the tornado left behind,
a lot of people are not ready for such destruction like this. I wasn't.
Hill is still having a hard time believing anyone survived, and he's simply unable to get the memory of Joshua Wiggins out of his head.
I'm not over what I have seen here tonight. I'm not over. And I wouldn't wish this upon nobody.
As the rain starts to fall again here in Elm City, power crews have already restored electricity to this neighborhood, but the sheriff tells us they're going to keep London Church Road closed until the Wiggins family can return here and collect some of their belongings. Meanwhile, Danny Hill says he'll never look at this neighborhood the same, because every time he walks out of his house and looks across the street, he'll see this spot, the place where Joshua Wiggins once lived and where he lost his life. David?
This Christmas, just like every Christmas for the past 18 years, you'll find Carl and Helen Jenkins standing outside a Raleigh Walmart, ringing the bell for the Salvation Army.
We've learned so much being at a kettle and meeting the people.
With Carl wearing his green and blue hat.
Okay, that's my bag.
And Helen wrapped in a red scarf.
Merry Christmas, guys.
The Jenkins will stand post at this familiar red kettle for the better part of 2 weeks, ringing a bell for 12 hours at a time and never asking anyone for a donation, but saying they are forever thankful for the blessing of everyone who gives.
And when kids use their own money, that really tears us apart, doesn't it?
Truth be told, it seems like nothing could ever really tear this couple apart, although a little red kettle may stand between them from time to time.
Actually, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for my love of my life over here.
And why do the Jenkins, both retired, still stand out in the cold ringing their bells? Because as Helen puts it, she knows someone needs the little bits of change people drop in her kettle every year, especially this Christmas.
By far the worst this year. The need is the greatest.
And while Carl isn't sure how many more years he and his wife will do this,
You better ask the man upstairs.
Helen says they'll keep on ringing until there's no longer a need for the lady in the red scarf, the man in the blue and green hat, and the little red kettle that stands in the middle. Stacey Cameron, WRAL News, Raleigh. At Vollmer Farms,
jalapenos have become the hot topic all of a sudden.
John Vollmer's jalapeno peppers aren't just ripe for conversation, they're ready for picking.
There's an interesting one. There's got plenty of fire in that one.
But as Vollmer picks his jalapenos, he worries consumers are going to choose other kinds of peppers. That's because the FDA is warning people not to eat jalapenos after a salmonella outbreak in Texas.
I think the biggest thing that concerns me is the extreme reaction to a relatively small discovery of salmonella.
If you want to eat a jalapeno, plenty are still making their way to the market. And in fact, John plans to finish picking his peppers over the course of the next week and selling them. But his worry is this: if people listen to the FDA's warning and stop eating these jalapenos, the impact that could have on other North Carolina pepper farmers.
This is just a poor way to do business.
State Agricultural Commissioner Steve Troxler says North Carolina jalapenos are safe to eat. But unless the FDA narrows its warning and clears North Carolina peppers, state farmers could lose as much as $15 million.
I don't want the federal government driving farmers out of business because of these types of recalls.
Back on the farm,
These peppers could grow a little more.
Vollmer agrees with Troxler, saying North Carolina jalapenos aren't the problem.
These peppers are fine.
But if the hot topic doesn't change from the jalapeno safety and back to its flavor, then Vollmer says North Carolina farmers could find themselves in a pepper pickle. Stacey Cameron, WRAL News, Bonn.